Stand by SOT1.
Standing.
10 seconds. Ready, roll in. Ready, SOT1.
Ready.
In 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters.
Hello, everybody. It's Monday, December 27th, about a minute after 12 noon. Welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters. We are brought to you by mancavepodcasting.com. If you want to do your own podcast, all you have to do is talk anywhere in the world. All you need is a smartphone or a computer, and we will manage, produce, direct, stream it live, and get it in the cloud forever, all for one low fee. And if you are completely bored and got nothing to do, they're completely free. We got over 600 shows in the tank. They're available for you 24/7. And good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Appel. I'm joined by Mr. John Scalia in Munich, Germany. This is going to be a short show, and I'm just going to let John do whatever news he wants, and maybe I'll comment and maybe I won't, but we're going to look at about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we're going to be done. Really early show based on the time of year. So, John, go ahead, say hello, take it away.
Hi. Okay, the first article is, as patients fell ill with COVID inside hospitals, government oversight fell short. Color me shocked. One by one, the nurses taking care of actress Judy Evans at Riverside Community Hospital kept calling out sick. Patients were coughing as staffers wheeled the maskless soap opera star around the California hospital while treating her for injuries from a horseback fall in May 2020. She remembered they took her to a room to remove blood from her compressed lung, where another maskless patient was also getting his lung drained. He was crying out that he didn't want to die of COVID. No one had told her to wear a mask, she said. It didn't cross my mind, as I'm in a hospital where you're supposed to be safe. Ha, ha, ha. That's my comment. Then about a week into her hospital stay, she tested positive for COVID-19. It left the 57-year-old hospitalized for a month, staring down more than $1 million in bills for treatment costs and suffering from debilitating long-haul symptoms, she said. The article goes on and on. It says, while federal reporting system closely tracks hospital-acquired infections for MRSA and other bugs, it does not publicly report COVID caught in individual hospitals. Medicare officials tapped by Congress decades ago to ensure quality care in hospitals also discovered a gaping hole in their authority as COVID spread through the nation. They could not force private accreditors, which almost 90% of hospitals pay for oversight, to do targeted infection control inspections. That means Riverside and nearly 4,200 other hospitals did not receive those specific COVID-focused inspections, according to a government watchdog report, even though Medicare asked accreditors to do them in March 2020. So here's the deal. Apparently, the law allowed hospitals to avoid government supervision, which I'm sure the government figured this is a great cost-saving mechanism. We won't have to do all these inspections. And as a result, the hospitals could pay a private group to inspect them and certify them. Well, guess what happens? I mean, obviously, if you're a hospital and the private group doesn't give you flying colors, you're not going to ask that group to certify you again. So basically, their business model depends on saying, you're a great hospital, even though everybody in your hospital is getting sick, getting COVID, and dying. Doesn't matter. So, again, this goes back to the fact that Americans prefer to have their private hospital system, which they think is just fine and dandy. And this is what happens when you have a private for-profit, or even the hospitals that are nonprofit are just the same system. When you have a system that is the results are dictated by money, this is what happens. And they lobby for exceptions to oversight. They lobby for exceptions for control. I remember when my wife got a staph infection after she delivered delivered our second child. And I did research, and it turns out staph infections are endemic to hospitals, and you really can't do anything about it. I mean, you can't do anything to them, even though they know that that's where they caught it. Okay. I mean, my wife at the time was our second kid. She was all of 21 or 22. She didn't have any comorbidities. All right. and staph infections are known to hang out in hospital rooms. So again, I'll just say it again. If you love your private care system, this is what you get.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Oh, John, go ahead. I thought you were finished. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just remembered. In all fairness, I think she negotiated the bill down because, again, I was going to say hospital bills in America are like buying objects at a flea market. They send you the bill, and the insurance, they'll say, "Well, your insurance didn't cover, $30,000," and then you can go to them and say, "Well, okay, I can, let's negotiate," and they will generally, but still, I mean, that's obscene. Yeah, go ahead.
Firstly, unless of course they take Medicare, because one of the qualifying factors for a doctor or a medical facility or a hospital to accept Medicare is they have to agree that Medicare payment is payment in full. They're not allowed to accept the Medicare pay and go after the patient for the rest. So that's number one. Now, of course, they can file an appeal to get more money, but to accept Medicare, they agree it's going to be payment in full. Also, in regards to staph infections, John, yeah, no question about it. I think most staph infections occur in and are contracted at hospitals, primarily because sick people go to hospitals and you've got germs walking around, floating around. And I won't even get into whether or not janitorial staff properly cleans. But yeah, you got sick people in hospitals, and that's where staph infections live and breed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Medicare, remember, the irony of what you said about Medicare is true, of course, but what Medicare is socialized medicine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, when you reach that age, be it 62, 65, 67, and you qualify for Social Security and Medicare, it is Social Security and Medicare. It's a socialized system for those presumably that have retired. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And by the way, you do pay a premium in addition to your, you do pay a premium once you're even on Medicare, you pay a premium for the coverage for medicine, for example. So even though I can't use it because Medicare won't cover me in Germany, I pay an extra like $130 a month for the drug coverage for Medicare benefits.
Yeah, don't remind me. I mean, I'm 61. I'm getting up there. I still don't even know the differences between the four types of coverages, but I better start learning it soon. I know that.
Yeah.
So, John, go ahead and take the next story, bud.
Okay. Well, this one's for you actually, because it talks about, last time you asked me to do the homework about what percentage of people are getting Omicron, right?
Yes, if we were able to distinguish the difference between all of the cases that are both occurring today, which of course mostly are Omicron, but those, I think I asked for those that are hospitalized and died. I think that's what I asked.
Well, okay. Newsom, this is your favorite guy, Governor Newsom, says over half of California cases are Omicron as he lays out a plan for testing boosters. California's 2 million healthcare workers will have to get a COVID booster shot by February 1, and those who have yet to be boosted will have to undergo testing twice a week until they do. Newsom also announced a state schools testing program that will provide 1 to 2 rapid tests for every K-12 student in public schools as they return to classrooms from winter break. The state will also expand operating hours at state-run testing centers that have reached capacity. The announcement comes as California appears on the verge of an Omicron-fueled wave of new infections, with case rates doubling over 5 days in San Francisco, and the trajectory expected to rise sharply in the coming days. Public health officials believe Omicron is the culprit, One Bay Area laboratory is already reporting about 71% of samples are Omicron, which echoes the CDC's estimate that the vast majority of new cases in the country are Omicron. Newsom on Wednesday said well north of 50% of cases in California are Omicron. Okay, now here's the thing. Yes, Omicron is apparently less severe than Delta, and it has a lower mortality rate than Delta. But, that's cold comfort in a sense, because here's the deal. Most people don't realize how statistics work. If Omicron infects twice as many people and has half the death rate of Delta, guess what? That's the same number of people dying. So, I mean,
no. That's absolutely correct. Please continue.
Yeah. So, it's cold comfort to say, well, Omicron is a really mild thing, only half, the death rate's one half is what it would be on Delta. Well, yeah, it is one half of what it is on Delta, but that's still the same number of people dying, which means that you're going to have, a lot of people in the hospital, maybe even just as many being hospitalized because twice as many are infected. So,
but I understand how statistics work, and I believe the numbers you just told us. However, those numbers did not reference how many people that are hospitalized, the difference between Omicron and Delta. You did not tell us those numbers, probably because you weren't able to get them, right?
I don't think they have them yet. I think it's too recent for them to actually sort. Now, I will say this, as long as I'm going to give an opinion, I'll give an opinion that, every right winger is going to really love. And that is, I heard Dr. Fauci again talking on CNN. Don't ask me why I tuned in CNN. I generally don't, but he was on, so I listened. I like Fauci. I think he's a good scientist. But the bottom line on Fauci is very simple. He is a career bureaucrat. and he speaks bureaucratese, So when they ask him questions like, why don't we have enough testing centers? Why don't, he gives you the bureaucratic double talk about, well, we're working on it. It's going to be there. In fact, my next story is going to talk about they don't have enough testing centers, or maybe I didn't put that one down, but they don't, and even Biden admits that the testing has not been adequate. And again, as I keep saying, in a country as rich as America, there's no excuse for that. I mean, China gets adequate testing, and they're not as rich as America. I mean, Germany is as rich as America, but we have plenty of testing. I mean, the only reason I don't get a quick test is because I see the lines and it ticks me off. I got my booster the other day. I'm triple vaccinated. I ran almost 9 kilometers today, thanks to my alien DNA in my booster, but we have all the testing you want. So, and interestingly enough, the last week, although in some parts of Germany it's changing, in the last week, the number of infections in Munich actually went down, and nobody really knows why. That may change. It could just be a lull because of holiday reporting, but we'll see.
Now, let's run some really quick numbers, John, since you mentioned that you just got boosted. My understanding is that once you get vaccinated, that generally speaking, within 6 months, or give or take 5 or 6 months, you're supposed to be, John, hold on really quickly. You get the initial vaccine, and you're supposedly good, whatever that means, for 5 or 6 months. And then you got to get boosted inside of 6 months. And the reason is because either the vaccine wanes or the antibodies that develop also wane. And by the way, that's an excellent question that no one appears to be really asking. And I'm going to ask it now, and then we can go with that. Antibodies are not supposed to be temporary. Antibodies are supposed to be permanent, but nevertheless. So you get your vaccine, and then within 5 or 6 months, you're supposed to get boosted. And presumably, and I asked this many months ago, what's in that booster? Are the ingredients different? Is the amount different? Whatever the case is, from what I'm able to understand, your booster is about half the amount of your vaccine. And news just came out. I think, I can't verify it. If I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right, that the booster apparently is only good for about 2.5, 3 months. Now, that would make sense in a very simplistic way, in that if your vaccine is good for 5 or 6 months, and therefore the booster, half of the vaccine, that vaccine would keep you boosted for about 2.5, 3 months. So if we follow that logic, that means in that simplistic fourth grade math, they're going to be recommending boosters every 3 months. Now, John, I know you heard and understood what I said, but feel free to agree, disagree. Please comment.
Well, I think the real answer is they don't know. I mean, the real answer is everybody's walking around, it's pin the tail on the donkey. You ever play that game as a kid? You get blindfolded.
John, I did.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what's happening. It was interesting with my booster because I went to the Imp Centrum, the vaccination center in Munich, which is 10 miles from my house, but there's public transit right to the door. Okay. So it doesn't even cost me anything to get there. And you get there and they gave me a form to fill out because in Germany, there's always a form to fill out. And so I fill out the form and as part of the form, for your booster. And it has the 3 vaccines down. And I originally thought I'd rather have the mRNA, but then I figured, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to stick with the vaccine I've already got. I'll take AstraZeneca. So I check off the box that has AstraZeneca, right? Then I go into the little cubicle where the doctor comes in and he looks at the form and he says, we don't have AstraZeneca. You're not getting AstraZeneca. He says,
Go ahead.
So he says, is it okay if I check off one of the other 2? He says, you're getting a Moderna. I said, all right, check off Moderna. So, so much for checking off which one I wanted.
Are they doing a Novavax in Germany?
I don't think we have it yet. We've got Moderna and we've got BioNTech. And of course, you remember BioNTech, which in your place is called what do they call it? They call it having a senior moment. Anyway, BioNTech is actually half German. It was done with the American company. What's the American company that did it?
I have no idea, John. I don't know.
It's Pfizer.
Pfizer. Okay. Pfizer.
The Pfizer vaccine, but it was half developed here in Germany by BioNTech. So it's actually a Pfizer BioNTech vaccine.
Right.
The guy who's in charge of BioNTech in Germany is an interesting guy. He is a Muslim Uyghur who came to Germany a long time ago. He's Turkish, and he's the president of BioNTech in Germany.
Sounds good, sir. Sounds good. What's the next story?
Okay, this is from Fearless Leader here. Nothing's been good enough. Biden admits COVID testing has fallen short. Biden said his administration has now ordered 500 million tests to send to people across the country. It's a shift from Biden's answers about testing shortages yesterday, which were defensive. What took so long is it didn't take long at all, he told reporters Tuesday when asked why the testing ramp up took so long, citing the rapid spread of Omicron. Despite mistakes, Biden tried to point to progress the administration has made on COVID over its first year. But look where we are, he said, when last Christmas we were in a situation where we had significantly fewer vaccinated people vaccinated, emergency rooms were filled, you had serious backups in hospitals that were causing great difficulties. We're in a situation now where we have 200 million people fully vaccinated. Biden also acknowledged that he'd considered requiring vaccines for airline passengers, but his team recommended that, quote, it's not necessary, close quote, even with Omicron. That's interesting. Biden has been interviewed by local television reporters and late night host Jimmy Fallon in recent weeks, but Wednesday's interview was the president's first one-on-one with a major nightly news anchor in months. And he continues on, build back better and whatever. So, once again, they're just making excuses for the fact that they haven't answered the call of duty. I mean, they haven't answered what they need to have gotten done. But unfortunately, that seems to be America's story for everything right now.
Yep. How true. How true. Well, John, do you have another story you would like to read? Do you want to make a comment, or should we end the show? Your choice, buddy.
Oh, I think I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Everybody,
done for
good
the day.
holiday.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, and I want to thank everybody for listening to this shortened edition of Work Comp Matters due to the holiday season. And I see Scott is off mute, so he's listening to us, which is always a good thing. I want you all to be safe, have fun, and there we go. Be safe, have fun, and take care, everybody. We will see you maybe Friday. We haven't decided. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.